Good day and welcome to Mission Control Houston, where the team is watching over the activities of the Expedition 33 crew aboard the International Space Station. Space Station orbiting about 240 statute miles over the southern Indian Ocean, preparing to make a northeasterly swing that'll take it just off the coast of Australia between that continent and New Zealand. On board the International Space Station, Commander Sonny Williams remains in charge with fellow NASA astronaut Kevin Ford. Also on board are Akihiko Hoshide from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, as well as Yuri Malenchenko, Oleg Novitsky, and Evgeny Tarelkin from the Russian Federal Space Agency. The recently reconstituted six-person crew on board the space station is working through a very busy day of activities. Flight Director Greg Whitney and Capcom Clay Anderson have been working with them throughout the day as they worked through some schedule adjustments that were needed. But Mission Control has come up with some workarounds that are resulting in all the tasks for the day being completed. Early this morning, both the local area network computer servers on the space station, which distribute programs and files to all the other laptops used by the crew for routine support operations, failed. That meant the crew didn't have the ability to read their electronic task schedules or their email. And Mission Control, however, was able to upload copies of all the necessary documents for the start of the day so that they could get to one of the laptops on board. But then the crew had to focus on replacing the hard drives and the two servers and getting the network back up and running. That's pretty much complete now, and the team is finishing up the last bits of uploading all the programs and files to those servers so that the crew can get back to normal. Those computers are not used for critical functions of maintaining the space station, but do help keep things running day to day. That did delay the start of the one of the main pieces of maintenance work on the station today, which was work on the waste and hygiene compartment water valve, which should get that toilet in the U.S. segment of the space station working properly again. Sonny Williams, as we're seeing live now, is in the process of replacing the flush water components right now, and is doing that on our own because Kevin Ford's main activity today was some work with an experiment known as Elite, and so he wasn't able to help. So Sonny is working on this toilet plumbing repair by herself right now. The Elite experiment is should be underway about now. Looks at connections between the human brain, visualization, and motion in the absence of gravity. It's an Italian Space Agency experiment, and it stayed in its regular afternoon time slot. Meanwhile, in this morning's International Space Station Mission Management Team meeting, mission managers heard an update from the Russian flight controllers that have confirmed that both of the manifolds on the Progress 48 vehicle that was used in last week's debris avoidance maneuver are in good working condition. That maneuver successfully moved the station out of the path of a small piece of space junk from an Iridium 33 satellite collision on Friday. But because only one of the thruster manifolds was fired, it didn't reach the planned altitude. Of course, the crew wasn't ever in any danger, but Russian engineers are continuing to look at why both of those manifolds on the Progress weren't used as planned. They expect to report back more detail to the mission management team for all the international partners a little bit later. In addition, we heard today from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency representatives at the management team that they are going to remove some bubbles from the new aquarium that holds Medaka fish on the station on November 9, a little bit later this week. The fish are doing well, but the bubbles need to be removed so the scientists can conduct their experiments, which look at how zero-gravity environment affects the fish, and they hope to apply those lessons to humans in long-duration space travel. We have a lot of activity coming up on board the International Space Station as we have some crew exchanges planned. Of course, we've got a six-member crew on board the International Space Station right now, but three of those crew members are scheduled to be departing very soon on the 18th of November. Commander Sonny Williams, JAXA astronaut Aki Hoshide, and Russian astronaut Yuri Malenchenko will be leaving in their Soyuz spacecraft and returning home for a landing in Kazakhstan. And then then, of course, that will leave Oleg Novitsky, Evgeny Tarelkin, and Kevin Ford aboard alone. Before the Expedition 33 crew departs, Williams will hand over command of the space station to Kevin Ford, and all that will be covered, of course, on NASA television, as will be the launch of the next group of crew members going up to the International Space Station, led by Chris Hadfield of the Canadian Space Agency, with Roman Romanenko of the Russian Federal Space Agency, and of course Tom Marshburn from NASA heading up to round out the six-person crew once again. Yesterday did mark a note of interest for the crew on board the International Space Station. The crew was notified by Mission Control that the first element of the space station, the Zarya Control Module, which was launched in 1998, had reached its 80,000th trip, 80,000th orbit of the Earth. All computed out, that equates to about 2.1 billion miles. And we have an audio clip of what the crew heard from Mission Control in their response.
And Kevin, one other item of interest to the crew, we hope, is that today, in a few minutes, we will initiate the 80,000th orbit of the Zarya module, which was, of course, the first element of the International Space Station. And it was launched on November 20th, 1998. You guys have currently traveled 2.1 billion miles by being a part of that module, which is equivalent roughly to the distance between the Earth and the planet Neptune. So with that, we'd like to congratulate you and the entire crew for this big milestone. And Kevin, as a rookie, the hazing says that you have to continue counting from 80,000.
We'll make Kevin start counting backwards. But seriously, it is a huge accomplishment for the space station program as well as the space shuttle program, who brought a lot of these modules up here. So a big congratulations to the program, all the partners around the world, for making this a place that we can live and work pretty productively, might add. So it's a great place to live, great place to work. Thank you.
Good words, crew.
And so with the 80,000 orbits and counting, this is Mission Control Houston.